This video is not a tier list video or a which class is best video. There's already plenty of those out there for people who know better than I do. This video is aimed at players returning for Phase 3, looking to prepare for ICC in Phase 4, or just maybe to help someone choose an alt to play in Phase 3 onward. All of my opinions in this video are based off of playing on Grobulus Alliance, so it may vary based on your server or faction. These classes are in no particular order, but we are going to start with the Hunter. The Hunter seems to be one of the least played classes in Wrath of the Lich King from what I've seen. Guilds are normally struggling to pick up one for their raid, and it's very rare to see two in a raid. Please note, this doesn't mean they are not stackable, just that they are seldom seen. Hunters use male agility gear, so they don't have as many contested BIS pieces as other classes. My first 2 weeks in Ulduar on my Hunter had me at a 4800 gear score, nearly matching my Death Knight's gear score that I haven't missed a single Ulduar lockout since release. Hunters also bring a lot of nice utility to the raid, such as Misdirect and Aim Shot. Aim Shot can be very valuable on hard mode fights like Iron Council and General Vezax. Picking up Aim Shot as a Hunter is going to allow your warrior to remain Fury and not have to go arms for Mortal Strike. It will also keep your rogues from having to switch to Wound Poison. Hunter is also, in my opinion, a very fun class, with Survival being the top spec for Hunter at this time. Survival is my favorite Hunter spec, so I'm glad it's still the top choice at the moment. The Survival rotation mixed with Trap Weaving is one of the most engaging playstyles in the game. Hunters are capable of pushing out huge numbers, and there's a lot of complexity under the hood to allow you to stand out from the crowd. Trying to nail down the exact timing for when you should drop your traps and get back out on different parts of the fight can be a way that you can improve yourself each week. If you go Hunter, you're bound to find a raid spot with ease, and no one will mind passing you loot that would have otherwise been disenchanted. Just looking to the future, assuming Blizzard does go with Kata Classic next after Wrath of the Lich King Classic, Hunters are also going to be a very strong choice for the entirety of Kata expansion. Alright, the next class on the list is going to be Shaman. Shaman is another male wearing class, and because of this, much of the gear isn't highly contested. The Shaman also has 3 diverse specs with Resto, Elemental, and Enhancement. All 3 specs are viable and are normally welcome additions to any raid. Shamans are still the only class bringing Bloodlust to raid, and so having at least one in every raid team is going to be invaluable and a must-have in my opinion. They also bring Tremor Totem to remove fears, have a range interrupt ability, bring several buffs to the raid depending on their spec, and they can even soak Big Bang on Algalon using their Elemental Totems. Elemental is a mostly simple spec to play, but it has been pumping in Ulduar. Ulduar seems to favor casters, and playing Elemental on a fight like Vezax or Hodir is a whole different experience versus being a melee or even as playing a Hunter. Elemental will pump, and even though it's a bit simple, it is very fun in my opinion, and only going to get better in Cataclysm when they can cast Lightning Bolt while moving. Though I don't have experience with this, I have been told that Elemental will not scale as well as some of the other classes into Icecrown Citadel in Phase 4, though I'm not actually sure how that will play out. Enhancement can pump even harder than Elemental currently according to WoWSims, and is only looking to get better for the rest of the expansion. I haven't played much Enhancement myself as my Shaman is Eli Resto, but I am building a set for it. I hear it is very button spammy, sort of like Frost Death Knight if you've played that. You're always pressing buttons and it has a super active playstyle. It brings a 10% attack buff to the raid that only Blood DKs and Marksmanship Hunters normally bring. There's also a lot of complexity to Enhancement involving snapshotting your Fire Elemental and weaving lightning bolts between auto attacks. I am not sure on the details of all of this, I only know of its existence, but should you decide to go with Enhancement Shaman, there is a whole lot of tech to sink your teeth into and wrap your brain around. Having a Restoration off-spec as Enhance or Eli Shaman will make you an even more flexible option for raiding. You can switch to your healing spec on fights that need additional healing or just run Pug raids as a Resto Shaman. Should you want to try out healing, Restoration Shaman is in my opinion one of the most fun healers in the game. They have an instant cast spell that heals and puts a heal over time spell on the target. That heal over time spell also increases chain heals healing by 25% when cast on the target, so you can hit them with a huge chain heal and it'll bounce to everyone else. It also gives you a buff on your lesser healing wave and healing wave spells, so you can weave in 2 of them as well. It's a very fun healer, and I believe it has a high skill ceiling if played to its full potential. It is also nice to bring it on Vezax, where you can just drop a Healing Tide totem and refresh Earth Shield during the entire fight. Okay, so next on the list is going to be Druid. Druids are in an amazing spot right now in Wrath of the Lich King, especially if you want to DPS. Balanced Druid has been blasting the meters all expansion long and brings some incredible utility to the raid. The 3% hit buff and the spell haste buff that Boomkins bring is so insane that you basically need one in every raid, though you definitely wouldn't mind having another one. Any additional druid in your raid is an additional Innervate and Battle Res, things that have so much value in Wrath of the Lich King. A Battle Res can save you so much time on a bad pull or a wipe. I cannot tell you the amount of times that a pull has been saved from a simple Battle Res. Boomkins appear to be a simple class to play, but I haven't played it much myself, so I can't really speak on how complex it can get. It brings great AoE damage through Starfall and Hurricane and is simply welcome in every raid. Feral Druids just got a buff recently that has made them much better and much more consistent in DPS. You no longer need to bear weave to do insane damage and can play this class in only cat form. I know some people will miss the complexity and the class fantasy of bear weaving, and that is understandable. However, it made the class extremely difficult to play, and I've seldom seen any Feral Druids in Wrath of the Lich King. Feral Druids bring Innervate and Battle Res 2, meaning they also slot into any raid group as well. They also bring a 5% crit buff for melee and a bleed debuff, so Arms Warrior and Combat Rogues will love having you in their groups. Druids wear leather, so the gear shouldn't be as highly contested as cloth or plate, but you will likely have more competition than the male users mentioned above. Druids can also tank or heal, though I have not seen a single Feral Druid tank in Ulduar at all in any lockout that I've done, 10-man or 25-man. I hear that Feral Druids can tank Algalon 10 and 25-man, so it's not like they aren't viable, it's just that they aren't as good of an option as a Prot Paladin or a Blood Death Knight at this time, or so I hear. I'm not a tank expert. Restoration Druids can absolutely pump the meters and bring possibly the best raid healing in the game. Having Resto Druid blanketing the raid and heal over time spells can make healing on the single target healers like an H-Pally so much more manageable. Just like the Shaman, having a Restoration off-spec gives you more flexibility if you want to play in different raids. You could Resto in a 10-man and Boomkin in a 25-man, and so on. The last class that I'm going to talk about today is the Shadow Priest. So the Shadow Priest brings a ton of utility to the raid and then some. It has a fort buff, shadow protection buff, a spirit buff, divine hymn, hymn of hope, misery, mass dispel, so much utility that it's insane. But what really sets them apart in Ulduar currently is dispersion. Dispersion is used to soak big bangs on Algalon and is the most consistent way of doing this. With Algalon being the current hardest content in the game, this makes having at least one Shadow Priest in your raid extremely valuable. Whether it's 10-man or 25-man, you're going to be happy you brought a Shadow Priest. With all the mentioned utility aside, Shadow Priest also just pumps, and it is said that they are going to scale very well into ICC and beyond. Priests also have two healing off specs, one of which is Discipline. Discipline is known to be one of the strongest healers in the game and puts protective shields on party members to prevent incoming damage. This can give you some ability to really shine once you understand where the damage will come from in certain fights. You can pre-shield your party to protect them from an incoming damage wave and see yourself fly to the top of the meters. Just like a Resto Druid, having a Disc Priest in the party makes raid damage as a whole much more manageable. Now, I'll be honest, I don't know much about Holy Priest. The rumor is that they are going to scale really well into ICC, but I don't see them played very often now. They are apparently pretty good at raid healing, and I have seen one solo heal Algalon on a YouTube video. If you haven't seen that, make sure to check that out. But to be honest, if you're going to play a healer and you're coming in this late, I would definitely suggest going Discipline, as I've heard it's much easier to play. Again, I don't have all the details on this, so take that with a grain of salt. Now, I do want to mention at the end of this video here that you can play any class you want in Ulduar currently. The ones that I'm recommending in this video are simply my recommendations for classes that I think are going to be easy to find a raid spot with. This is my opinion based on playing on the Grobulus Alliance faction, so it may be different based on your server or faction. As always, I hope this helps somebody out there, and thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great day.